Hi there, everyone. If we haven't met before, my name is Logan. I serve at North Bay as the youth director there, and I'm so sad to say that I'm having to talk to a camera on my phone instead of all of you in person. But at the same time, I'm very happy that we still have this opportunity to connect on United Online, because if all this was going on about like even 20 years ago, it would not be this easy to be able to remain in contact and in community with one another. So I'm just super glad that we're still able to do all of this, that we're able to have teaching content, that we're able to have different competitions. I'm still so happy that our relationships aren't over just because we've gone digital. Speaking of United Online, though, this is our way that the leader team has come together to provide content for you, so that we can have teaching videos and competitions so that we can still be stepping towards Jesus together as a family on mission and becoming people of peace together. And it's during this time of year that I'm glad that we still get to do this, because we have a lot to reflect on, not just because of the quarantine situation that's going on, but because this is also a time that's getting close to Easter. We're still in Lent. So there's a lot of things with Jesus to reflect on, like him dying and rising again. So we're actually getting to start our Easter series called Worth It on here. And the first big idea that we're going with this week is that the Jesus who suffered all the way back then suffers with you today. Because when we think about Easter and Jesus rising, it's always the suffering that came first. It's always all that he had to go through that comes first. Like, the dude went through a lot. He was betrayed by his friends. He literally died for the people that he was trying to save. Like, he had it rough. He did not have it easy. We think about him as being the perfect person. We think about he's literally God, but he still had it so rough in the Easter story. So the main piece of scripture that we're going to be reading out of is Matthew chapter 26. We're not going to read the whole chapter on here just for time's sake, but I highly encourage you to read the chapter on your own. It's all about the things leading up to Jesus' death, and it's a little sad, but at the same time, like, we immerse ourselves in what he experienced in his life. So the main verses that we're going to be focusing on here, though, is Matthew verses 36 through 39. And it reads as this. Then Jesus went with his disciples to a place called Gethsemane, and he said to them, "Sit here while I go over there and pray." He took Peter and 2 sons of Zebedee along with him, and he began to be sorrowful and troubled. Then he said to them, "My soul is overwhelmed with sorrow to the point of death. Stay here and keep watch with me." Going a little further, he fell with his face to the ground and prayed, "My Father, if it is possible, may this cup be taken from me. Yet not as I will, but as you will." So here we get to see a moment of Jesus being fully God, but also being very fully human, because he experiences pain. He also experiences fear and being afraid and being fully human. But the thing about him being afraid is that he doesn't let it rule him. He's scared of what's to come, but at the same time, he knows what it must be done, because he sees us, he sees the people that he's looking to save as worth it. He sees us as worth it because he loves us so dearly. And he went through the excruciating pain. He was betrayed by Judas, his friend, and even by Peter when he denied him 3 times. And we see all this, and yet he still was willing to go through it because he saw us as worth it, because he loved us dearly. The other piece of scripture we have is Isaiah 53, 1 through 5, which sort of like gives a brief like description of, well, it comes from the prophet Isaiah, but he's describing like what Jesus would do and what he would experience. And it says this: "Who has believed our message, and to whom has the arm of the Lord been revealed? He grew up before him like a tender shoot, and like a root out of dry ground. He had no beauty no majesty to attract us to him, nothing in his appearance that we should desire him. But he was despised and rejected by mankind, a man of suffering and familiar with pain. Like one from whom people hide their faces, he was despised, and we held him in low esteem. Surely he took up our pain and bore our suffering. Yet we considered him punished by God, stricken by him and afflicted. But he was pierced for our transgressions. He was crushed for our iniquities. The punishment that brought us peace was on him, and by his wounds we are healed. So essentially, like, Jesus experienced all of these bad things, and through this, he understands all of the sort of pain that we experience in our human lives. And when we think about all the troubles that we go through, when we're comforted by friends, we're comforted by them because they understand, or they understand something similar to what we're going through. And in this, who better to understand us, who better to comfort us than Jesus himself, the one who literally bought us life through his death. And so this upcoming day of Good Friday is super important, and it's a day of remembrance when Jesus died and was killed. But it's also a reminder that we aren't alone. He knows of the things that we experience. He knows the pains and the heartaches that we have. And that through that, we see that him knowing that what our pains are like is also a reminder that we were worth it to him. That Jesus, who suffers with us, is the same Jesus who suffered all those years back then. And through this, he comforts us because he's there. He's able to wrap his arms around us and say, I know it hurts, but I'm with you till the end. And he never said that this life would be easy. He never said that it would be a cakewalk. But instead, he says that we would be known and that we would be loved by him, loved by God. He knows our loneliness during this quarantine. He knows that we are in pain, that we are in, wanting community, that we're wanting connection. And he understands that pain. He understands the loneliness because he was up on that cross alone, not with his friends. But in his mind, he's thinking through everyone's faces, saying, I'm doing it for them. I'm doing it for them. So the walls that separate us from each other right now are not walls that keep him from getting into our hearts, because nothing stops him. He is able to work in any kind of situation, including the one we are currently in. And just because we aren't living the life that we're used to, just because we aren't living our normal lives, doesn't mean that we don't have the life that he has given us. We still have opportunity. We still have chances to be lights to this world. And we still have opportunity to connect with him and walk with him as we're suffering through whatever it might be. It might not even be loneliness. It could be something completely irrelevant to world events. So during this time, just be thinking about what's especially hard for you right now. What are the things that are bringing you the most pain? And then also be thinking about what are the ways that Jesus also experienced similar pain to this? In what ways do we need comfort? In what ways do we need to bring this to Jesus? What do we actually need to talk to him about? And then once we've thought about these things, let's not just be people who sit on the information that we have or sit on what we've learned, because faith without works is dead. And I can assure you that we are still well and alive and breathing. So this week, just be reaching out and thinking, bring this suffering that you have to God, pray to him. He knows already of what it is, but he wants to walk with you, not apart from you in it. And also bring this, whatever suffering it is, to our friends, to our community. And then since we know that we're suffering as well, also try stepping out and comforting those around us. Because if we're hurting, we can assume that those around us are hurting as well, because this has been a rough time. I've been going kind of crazy inside my house. So, yeah. But Yeah, essentially discuss these things with people. Don't just keep it to yourself. And if you don't have a group or a set of people that you can discuss these things with, text us or DM our Instagram account, and like we will get you plugged into a small group. Don't you worry, you will not be alone for long. Because it's important for us to be in community during this time. And I think it's been revealed to a lot of people, like being stuck in their houses. Yeah, we can't do this alone, because the church isn't supposed to be a building. It is supposed to be us as a people. And that doesn't, right now, that doesn't even require us seeing each other in person. So we're a family. We love you, and we want to be able to share each other's sufferings. So please connect. And with that, in being a family, we do have a few family announcements for us. First of all, with our competitions, we have a big overarching competition through this whole quarantine time and us not seeing each other in person, and that is our Bible Streak competition. So basically what we're going to do is every time you open the Bible app on your phone, it records how many days in a row that you are opening it and connecting with God. So by the end of the quarantine, we're going to see who has the most consecutive days recorded on the Bible app, and we're going to give whoever that is a prize. The other competition we have is our weekly competition, which this week has been Fabby Bird. I have a high score of 37 right now, so beat that. But basically have your high score recorded by Tuesday, screenshot it, and send it to us. And we will have the winner announced on Wednesday, when our next competition is going to be announced as well. So stay tuned for that. And then finally, last announcement, join a group. If you aren't already in one, join a group, please. We want everyone to know that they are still in a family, that they are still loved, because we might not be able to meet on Tuesdays or Sunday nights, but we are still a family on mission, still becoming people of peace, who honor God, ourselves, and all people. And we're still united in love. So with that, everyone, it's been great having you on United Online, and thank you so much for joining us. We'll be back to you on Wednesday when we announce our next game. All right, see you, everyone.